Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Time Travel. Now in today's episode we're going to be traveling back to the year 2007 and taking a look at the Windows Vista Ultimate Extras. Now this actually comes as a video suggestion by I believe a couple of you guys out there, so thank you to those of you who suggested this video to me, and yeah, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the Windows Vista Ultimate Extras was a set of features that were only made available to users of Windows Vista Ultimate. They were essentially exclusive features. And you could say that this is a replacement to the Microsoft Plus line of software, the Microsoft Plus packs. And we've taken a look at almost all of the Microsoft Plus packs on this channel before. We started with Plus 95. I think I made that video back in like 2014. We moved on to Plus 98, Plus XP, Plus Digital Media Edition, and more recently Plus for Kids, which was kind of released in between Plus 95 and 98. And Microsoft stopped using the Plus name and essentially killed off that line of software with the release of the Plus Super Pack for Windows XP, which was essentially one piece of software that combined Plus for XP and Plus Digital Media Edition into one pack. That was the very last Plus branded piece of software that was released. So the Windows Vista Ultimate Extras essentially did the exact same thing that Microsoft Plus did. It brought additional features, additional programs, and there's some games in here, some extra functionality to the system that you wouldn't normally get out of the box. But the major difference this time around is that not only were these only offered to Vista Ultimate users, but they were offered to them for free, and you would download them through Windows Update. So you didn't have to actually go out and purchase like a physical piece of software or download something online from Microsoft and buy it from their website. These were offered for free, but again, only to users of Windows Vista Ultimate. Now keep in mind, when Vista first came out, a copy of Vista Ultimate cost about $400, and a copy of Home Premium cost about $240. So you had to spend about $160 more to get Ultimate instead of Home Premium. So that was a pretty hefty price, a pretty substantial amount of money to pay to upgrade, well, essentially buy Vista Ultimate instead of Vista Home Premium. So people were really hoping when Microsoft announced these features that they were going to be really awesome and just kind of set Vista Ultimate apart. And there are a lot of cool features in here, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it and take a look at what you would get with the Vista Ultimate Extras. So what we've got on screen right here is the Windows Ultimate Extras panel, essentially in the control panel, and this is where you would go to get information about it. Again, you would download these through Windows Update, but you also could get information. And if I go back here, this is Windows Update right here. I'm actually installing some updates right now, and on the sidebar here you've got this additional option called Learn About Windows Ultimate Extras, and if you click on this, this is how you get to this screen. So this essentially tells you what the Windows Ultimate Extras are. It kind of gives you some brief information about it, where you can download them, which just brings you back to Windows Update, and you had this link right here where you could actually go to Microsoft's website and get some more information about Windows Vista Ultimate Extras. Now I can't show you it right now because I'm installing some updates, but when you go into Windows Update and actually click to view what updates you have, there's a separate category called Vista Ultimate Extras. And you can even see that up here at the very top, instead of just saying Windows Update, it says Windows Update with Windows Ultimate Extras. So this is where you would go to again actually download them. But once you downloaded them, you would get a separate category in the start menu called Extras and Upgrades. And it's in this folder where you get some, not all, but some of the Vista Ultimate Extras. And this is a move that really sets Ultimate Extras apart from Microsoft Plus, because Microsoft Plus would usually group all of the programs and games that it installed into one folder, and you would go into that folder to view all the things that Plus installed. And when you got into like XP, where it would actually come with a launcher essentially, and you would launch all of the programs from there. So this does not group them all into one folder. Again, there are some of them here, but most of these are just links. Like you've got a link to the Windows website, you have a link to that page in the control panel that we just took a look at, a link to the Windows Marketplace, which we'll talk about in a moment. You have small business resources, again, another web link. If we open this up, it will open in Internet Explorer here. And the only one that you have in here, the only actual program, is the Secure Online Key Backup, which we will save for a little bit later in this video, because the first first Vista Ultimate Extra that I want to show you guys is Dream Scene. Now, Dream Scene is pretty awesome. What it allows you to do is set a video as your desktop wallpaper. Now, there are third-party tools that allow you to do this, but this one is an official Microsoft tool, and it's integrated right into the operating system. Now, you have to have Aero enabled. You cannot do this if you don't have Aero. So if you bought Vista Ultimate and installed it on like an older computer that didn't support Windows Aero, you were essentially out of luck. You could not use this. You had to be running Windows Aero. Now, the way you enable, you see we've got this Play Dream Scene option in the context menu here, but it's grayed out, and that's because I don't have a Dream Scene selected as my desktop wallpaper. So to actually set a Dream Scene as your desktop wallpaper, you have to go into Personalize and essentially go through the same process you would normally do to change your wallpaper. So we go into Desktop Background here, but instead of being in this location, we want to change this location drop-down menu to the Windows Dream Scene content. And it's in this folder, if you want to call it that, where we have all of these video files that we can use with Windows Dream Scene. So there's this one right here, which is pretty cool. So you can just kind of select it, get a little preview of it, and if you like it, you can select OK. And there's also this really cool one here, which is essentially an animated version of the default Vista wallpaper. So this is how that looks. It's pretty awesome. And now if we right-click on the desktop, you can see that this option that was previously grayed out is now enabled. So this is how you actually pause the Dream Scene and play the Dream Scene at any time. So if you were maybe going to open up Photoshop or Premiere Pro to edit a video or just do some work, you can go in here and say pause Dream Scene. And let's actually open up Task Manager here and view a real-time CPU usage meter. So right now we're using about 7%. It's fluctuating a little bit there. Now we're down to 1%. Let's turn on Dream Scene, and we'll see if it goes up a little bit. And yeah, you can see that it goes up to, what was that, 12, 15, 18, 17. So it definitely uses more CPU usage because this is running in the background. You're essentially playing a video in the background constantly as your desktop wallpaper. Now, what's cool is not only do you have the ability to select any of these default ones, but you can also select any WMV file, or I believe an MPEG file as well that you have, which I had to actually convert one of my videos to a WMV file format. And this is this Pac-Man video. It's me playing Pac-Man Championship Edition DX Plus. I uploaded this to my Extras channel, MJD Extras, and I can set it as my desktop wallpaper, although this is a very, very low quality video because it's like super compressed and it's in the WMV format. But it's still pretty cool. And yeah, you can just have this and have like a video. I mean, say you had like a family video or whatever that it might be, you can have it set as your desktop wallpaper. But again, you need to have a pretty powerful system at this time because again, you need to have Aero enabled. So you have to have a system that is capable of running Windows Aero. So like I said, if you managed to get Vista Ultimate but had like an older system that it like just met the minimum system requirements for Vista but didn't meet the requirements for Aero, well, unfortunately you could not use this. So that kind of sucked. But we can just go ahead and pause the Dream Scene right here. Let's actually leave it playing in the background for this whole video here. So yeah, that right there is let's maybe switch it back to something less motion intensive, if that's the right phrase. So because this is a little bit more, it's less busy. That's probably the right phrase to use. So we'll just kind of have this set as the desktop wallpaper for the rest of the video. So that is Dream Scene, probably my favorite Vista Ultimate Extra out of this whole pack. Now, just like in pretty much all of the Plus packs, we do have a couple of games. Let's go into the Start menu here, go to All Programs. Now, once again, they are not grouped in the same folder. These are actually grouped in the regular games folder with all of the other games that would normally come with Windows Vista. So the first one is called Microsoft Tinker right here. So you've got this main menu right here. Essentially, this is a puzzle game. So let me just show you. Let's go into main game here. And we'll click on this check box there. We'll go to set number 1. There are 60 levels in here. So we'll just go to level 1 here. I already beat this, but we'll just do it again. It's very, very simple. It's this kind of like 3D-like environment. And what you have to do is move your little robot guy around and push these dice blocks out of the way. Your goal is to get over to this red circle thing that is spinning at the very end. Now you've got a clock here. It's not like a, well, it might be like a timer, but it like counts up, so it's not counting down from a specific time limit, but you do have a move limit. So you see I've got 40 moves right here, and you've got these controls right here. So going from right to left, this is actually a record button, so you can press that to record your gameplay. This right here pauses the game, and it's where you can change your options, like if you want to disable the music or the sound effects, or if you want to get rid of the hints and the tooltips, you can get rid of that. This right here will take you back to the, or it's actually going to restart the level, and this will take you back to the main menu. So what you do is you use the arrow keys to move around. So I just go up here and push that block out of the way, and this is very moved based. That's essentially how the game works. So I just moved one square, and you see my moves went down to 39. So I've got 39 moves left. And now if I hit the right key, I'm going to move like towards the right. I just press up, and you just essentially have to go through. This one's very, very easy, but you have to move these dice blocks out of the way. Now the brown boxes you cannot move, so you have to basically be strategic with your moves to try to get the least moves possible. That's essentially the goal of this whole thing, is to get through the level using the least amount of moves possible and the least amount of time possible. So you can see this one I spent much longer because I was talking with you guys, so I spent like 1 minute and 19 seconds, whereas the par was 20 seconds. But yeah, I'm not really going to go through and play like this entire, like do a whole let's play of this game, because it's pretty simple to learn, and I think that you guys get the point. It's still a pretty cool puzzle game, and it's a nice addition. So that is Microsoft Tinker. So we'll close out of that. Oh, there is also a custom level maker, so we can download the level editor. I don't know if this is online anymore, but it obviously is going to open up a Microsoft website, and yeah, I'm like highly certain. Yeah, so page not found. So this is, it looks to be actually, I think if we go into help and about here, this is developed by a, Tinker developed for Microsoft Corporation by Fuel Industries. If this page was archived with the Wayback Machine, you could probably download the level editor, but this is where that site redirects to now, and yeah, the page is not found, unfortunately. So that is Tinker. Now, the other game that was added is actually a card game, and I'm sure we all know that ever since like Windows 3.0 or Windows 3.1, Microsoft bundled Solitaire with Windows, and they added additional card games to future releases. So you had like Spider Solitaire, well, Windows XP had Spider Solitaire, Free Cell, you had Hearts. But here in Vista, not only did you get like redesigns of all of those games, so you got a new version of Solitaire, Spider Solitaire, Hearts, but with Ultimate Extras, you got Holdem, which is, yes, a version of poker. And this is not an online game, so this is you versus a bunch of computers. And again, I'm not really going to take you through this game, because if you know how to play Texas Hold'em, you know how to play this game. It's pretty self-explanatory. We can go to help and about here, about Holdem, and this was actually developed by another third-party company, MobiCore, and the card and background art was by Oberon Games, if I'm pronouncing that right. So this was another kind of contracted project that Microsoft actually didn't develop themselves, and you can kind of tell that because even though the cards look similar to like Solitaire, and yeah, you can see that the Solitaire game was developed for Microsoft by Oberon Games, which is where the card and background art comes from in Holdem here, but the actual program was developed by a whole different company. So yeah, that's how they were able to keep the card backs consistent, is they came from the same company. So those were the only two games that were offered with Windows Vista Ultimate Extras, but you also got some other enhancements. Now, I'm sure that you guys know, like in Plus 95 and 98 and even XP, you had different themes. You actually were able to go in and customize the look and feel of Windows itself. And Plus 95 and 98 definitely gave you more options of doing that. Plus XP really only came with those 3 themes that were pretty basic. They didn't really change anything about the actual theme. They just used existing variants of the Luna theme, and they changed like the cursors and the desktop wallpaper and the sound scheme. It still changed kind of the way that your system felt, if you want to use that term, but it didn't do as much as like the earlier versions of Microsoft Plus did. Well, in Vista here, all you got are sound schemes. You don't have any way of actually changing the theme. There's no extra version of the arrow theme, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and open up the control panel here, and I'll show you what we did get. So we can go into, let's just do a search for sound here, and we're going to go to the sound properties panel and click on the sounds tab. And right here is where you would choose your sound scheme. Now in Windows 7 you did have multiple different sound schemes. Your options in regular Vista were Windows Default and no sounds. But we've got these 3 extra packs here. One of them is actually the sounds from the Tinker game. You've got the Ultimate Extras Glass and Ultimate Extras Pearl. So I went ahead and turned up the audio here, so let's actually change to, let's start with the Tinker game sounds pack. So you can obviously apply it, but you can also go through and preview each individual sound. So let's go to the exit window sound and click on test. So that's the new exit window sound with this theme. Low battery alarm, you got maximize, all sorts of, I mean, it essentially changes every single one of these sounds. And again, we've got 2 more sound packs, Ultimate Extras Glass. Let's see what the logon sound sounds like. So yeah, the audio is definitely glitching out. I've been kind of having this problem with VMware recently, so I apologize for that. So you can kind of hear that like scratchiness on the audio. I've been looking into a fix for that. But and yes, I do have VMware tools installed, so it's not that. But we've got Ultimate Extras Pearl here. That's what that sounds like. Those are the 3 new sound schemes that you can add to your system with the Vista Ultimate Extras. Now, next up, we're going to take a look at a more of an under-the-hood change, but it's still definitely welcome, and it's pretty awesome. And it's called Multilingual UI Language Packs. Now, this feature itself is nothing new, but what's new in Windows Vista here is Microsoft actually made this feature available to the Ultimate Edition of Windows Vista. This feature actually dates back to Windows 2000, but it was only really offered to like enterprise customers, and what this allowed you to do was have multiple languages installed on a single computer. So instead of using a localized release of Windows, you can actually have multiple languages installed and have each user on your system, like if you were using a shared system, which is what this would be ideal for, each user could select their own language to use. So if you worked with people that maybe were fluent in, like maybe English wasn't their first language and they preferred to use their native language, you could have them actually in their separate user account set their own language, and it won't actually affect your user account. It's like not going to be system wide. It's very useful. Now, to get these language packs, you have to go into Windows Update, and we're here on the select to update screen, and you see we've got these 33 language packs right here. So if I wanted to get, for example, the Ukrainian language pack, I just click on this, click OK, and go through the installation process. Now, I've actually downloaded the Japanese language pack. So if I go into Control Panel here, I can do a search for language, and we're going to click on Change Display Language. And right here you see we have this Choose a Display Language drop-down menu. And we have English as well as Japanese. It's the only other option. Now, I could obviously get all of these language packs in here in Windows Update here and have, 33 different languages, or I guess 35 total different languages to choose from. But I just installed Japanese here for this demo. So we're going to click on Japanese and press Apply. And now it's going to ask us to log off. So we're going to log off of our user account. And when we log back in, we'll go ahead and log in here. And once we get to the desktop, we will now be running Windows in Japanese. So you see it's going to come up here. Obviously, there's still some English, but the majority of it has been changed over to Japanese, and this applies across the entire system. Now, last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about security-related features, and specifically BitLocker. Now, BitLocker is, I'm sure most of you guys probably know what BitLocker is, but if you don't, it is a encryption tool that Microsoft offered first here in Windows Vista through the Ultimate Extras, was where it actually got its start. That allowed you to encrypt your hard drive. So you can actually encrypt your entire hard drive through this tool. Now, it was offered actually on both the Ultimate and Enterprise versions of both Vista and Windows 7. In Windows 8 and 8.1, they kind of dropped it down one tier and offered it in Pro and Enterprise because there was no Ultimate version of Windows 8. Same thing with Windows 10. You had the BitLocker tool available in the Pro, Enterprise, and even the Education release of Windows 10. And on the Windows Server side, this was available in Server 2008 and later. So to enable BitLocker in Vista here, we got to go into the Start menu, All Programs. Again, it's not in Extras and Upgrades, but there is this BitLocker related tool that we'll talk about after BitLocker. But it's under Accessories. So we go to Accessories, we go to System Tools, there's a new folder called BitLocker. Now there's this README document right here which you can read, and this just kind of tells you what BitLocker is. It's a drive encryption feature of Windows Vista. It provides increased security by encrypting everything on your hard drive. So it just kind of tells you how it works, how do you use it, etc. But let's actually launch the program. So we'll go back in here, System Tools, BitLocker Drive Preparation Tool. So you launch this here, click on Continue, And you get a little license agreement right here. We'll click on I accept. So now it's going to tell you what it's going to do. So it actually has to prepare an active drive, and it kind of tells you what that is specifically right here. So it says new active drive S will be created from unallocated space. The boot files will be moved to the new active drive. The new active drive cannot be protected by BitLocker. And it also gives you some warnings down here. It tells you to back up any critical data and files before continuing. It tells you that this process may require defragmentation, which could take a varying amount of time depending on how large your drive is and what condition it's in. And it tells you to not store any important data on the new active drive, because obviously that would defeat the purpose of the whole thing if you store all of your data on the non-encrypted portion of the drive. So we're not going to actually go through this because it would take a little while here to actually encrypt everything. But that was one of the pieces to the BitLocker feature that was offered in Vista Ultimate Extras. But what we also have is this tool that we first saw at the beginning of the video, and that is the secure online key backup. And what this essentially is a way for you to store your BitLocker recovery password at an offsite location, so that in the event something happens to your password wherever you have it stored, or if you forget it or whatever, you can actually still decrypt your drive. Because keep in mind, you're encrypting your drive. If you lose your password, you're not going to be able to decrypt all your data. So Microsoft provided this tool for a way to have an offsite backup of your recovery password. Now, this was offered through Microsoft's Windows Marketplace platform, which was actually sort of a predecessor to the Microsoft Store in some ways, like the not the physical store, but the app, like in Windows 10. Because you could actually purchase software from it and download software. It was tied to your Windows Live ID. So that's how you were able to have an account and actually store this recovery password on there. Unfortunately, this only lasted about 3 years, so this service does not work anymore. This tool is essentially useless now. You can still use the BitLocker encryption tool to encrypt your drive. That's still going to work, but you're not going to be able to store your BitLocker recovery password through this tool right here. So there you have it. Those were all of the Ultimate Extras that Microsoft pushed out for Windows Vista Ultimate users. They also offered something else that was kind of branded as an Ultimate Extra, but anybody could get it because it was literally a set of wallpapers that Microsoft offered for download. And again, they kind of branded it as like a Vista Ultimate thing, but anyone could go and download the wallpapers. But again, since these were offered through Windows Update, it actually allowed Microsoft to push out updates to these programs and to these Ultimate Extras. And if we go into Windows Update here, apparently there are 4 updates available, because I already have these installed, but it's showing that I don't have them downloaded or there are updates for them. But there's this separate part of Windows Update, is essentially what I'm trying to say, where you've got your regular updates up here, but if there were any updates to the Ultimate Extras, they would show down here in this separate box, in this separate area of Windows Update. Microsoft also could push out additional Ultimate Extras through Windows Update, and they did that with Tinker. The Tinker game was not originally offered through the original set of Ultimate Extras. It was pushed out later on down the road. And so this is where you would go to download that. Now, Microsoft also proposed some additional Ultimate Extras, including ones like a set of special Movie Maker effects for Windows Movie Maker, and even some custom Windows themes, but unfortunately, these were never released. They never came to fruition. And people actually criticized Microsoft for this, because Microsoft had kind of, in their advertising, really used the Ultimate Extras as kind of a way to upsell Vista Ultimate. And they were kind of saying like, hey, look at all these cool features that we have for only Ultimate users, and we've got all these other ones that we're planning, and so you should get Windows Vista Ultimate to get all these exclusive features. Well, unfortunately, they didn't end up pushing out all of the ones that were initially kind of talked about. Again, like I mentioned, those Movie Maker effects and the Windows themes were just a couple of them. So people actually criticize Microsoft for that. But the Ultimate Extras are still a pretty important piece of Windows history, because, like I said, this was really the last Plus-like product. It was just not branded as a Plus product, obviously, but it kind of had the same goals, offering additional enhancements and games to the Windows operating system. And you could definitely say that the Power Toys line of software had kind of a similar goal. Of course, those were more geared towards power users, and yes, Microsoft does offer Power Toys for Windows 10. But again, Windows 7, 8, 8.1, and Windows 10, aside from Power Toys, does not have anything like Vista Ultimate Extras, and I still think it's pretty cool to take a look at these programs today. So guys, if you enjoyed this software demonstration, be sure to give it a thumbs up, be sure to get subscribed down below, and turn on those channel notifications if you haven't already to get notified whenever I upload a new video, which I do every single week on this channel. And if you guys have any comments, questions, or video suggestions for me, be sure to drop those down below. And as always guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.